Thank you for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an info product business for sale in the business niche. Created in July 2015, this business makes $3,545 per month in net profit, and the listing number for the site is 43987. We do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. How are you doing today, Michael?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on this, and hopefully I can answer quite a bit of questions for whoever's interested.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our chat. Where are you calling in from today?
Actually from Hilo, Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually born and raised here, and so I had moved to the mainland for a little bit, just moved my family back recently. Unfortunately, I think we are moving back to the mainland. I think we've outgrown Hawaii, unfortunately, but it's been fun to be back while we're here for the next couple months.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is it cold out there in Hawaii?
I guess cold for us. I think it got to 58 last night where I live, so that's unusual.
Yeah, I live in Orlando, Florida, and it's quite chilly here for Florida. With northern parts of Florida, like not even far, 60 miles north of me, it's snowing.
Yeah. Well, I heard the first time in like 30 years or something, you guys got snow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really cold. But anyway, before we dive into the questions that I have for you, I want to go ahead and run through a quick summary of the business.
Sure.
Again, the business was built in July of 2015. It has a monthly revenue of $5,123, expenses of $1,578 to make for a net profit of $3,545, which is generated on a 12-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the domain, site content and files, course materials, Facebook page, Facebook group, and an email list. Michael, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Sure. So I'd say, I think it was about 6 years ago, I actually used to be a Division I women's volleyball coach, actually. And the hours were so long that when I had my first kid, it was my daughter, I realized how much, time I was spending away from them. And so I started looking for things to do online. About 6 years ago, I actually came across a dropship lifestyle with Anton Kraly. And I had started drop shipping people's products. And within a couple months, I was making, $5,000 to $7,000, take home profit, which was more than enough to replace my income. And so I started doing online businesses full time. Under that direction, I started private labeling my own products because I thought there was more, profit to be made than selling someone else's on certain margins. And about 3 years ago, I actually came together with my business partner, and we've had quite a bit of success, actually private labeling our own products. And we thought that it'd be great to try to pass this on and to teach others how we were kind of using Amazon to make money. And so, our most recent product, we actually cleared over $280,000 in the last 30 days. Obviously, the holiday rush helped. But on top of that single product line, we did very, very well. And so just bringing that knowledge and whatnot, I think out to, more people. I wouldn't say to the masses because we're not a huge operation or anything like that. But just seeing how ridiculously priced some of these other courses were for teaching Amazon FBA, from $5,000, I think it was $7,000 at once. And to be teaching things that we didn't feel were, maybe the best things to be taught. For example, we don't really like to push people towards products under $10. We think it's a waste. We think you're going to go in the hole too early. Just random things like that we definitely were, pushing differently than others. And for the last 3 years, ever since we set up the course, we've had some great success from a lot of members. We've been reviewed one of the top courses on Amazon FBA by actually Jungle Scout. When they asked some of their members, some of the top reviews, we were one of the highest rated. And so it's been, pretty nice. Unfortunately, we couldn't dedicate the time we wanted to it because of our private label brands growing as much. It needs a lot more of our time. But overall, we've been pretty pleased with what we've been able to create over the last couple of years.
I guess just something I want to just clarify. So this business is teaching new entrepreneurs how to handle Amazon FBA.
Correct.
Okay. How is the information delivered?
Sure. So they actually get a login into our website, and they'll get access to all 9 modules that we have. They can watch it all at once. It's obviously up to the new owner if they want to drip feed it or anything like that, like I've seen some courses do. We don't. We give access to everything right off the bat, from the very beginning basics to just setting up your Amazon seller account to our module 9, where it's even trying to take things that extra step, whether it's moving into other Amazon platforms like Amazon UK, Amazon Germany, Amazon Japan, whether it's just creating your own website and pushing that way, even going into retail and stuff like that. We do touch on top some of those things and our experiences with it to really expand your brand if that's what you're looking to do with this particular product that you end up selling.
So the modules are already, completed products. I guess a question that I had initially when reading about and then hearing you talk about this business is, since it's informational and you and your partners are teaching what you've learned, if a new owner comes in and you step away, the information is already set?
Correct. So we've set up things like, like our 5 golden guidelines for choosing a product, or how to vet your supplier from overseas, and the perfect product page optimization, how many keywords to put in the title, how many keywords to use in the bullet points, all that sorts of stuff is already set up. And so the BSR that we teach people, for example, that's one of the main things we teach, the BSR, which is the best selling rank. We teach people to look for a specific number. So that number is not changing within Amazon or anything like that. We've tweaked certain things like our price point. As I said before, we don't like to sell anything under $10. We actually didn't like to sell anything under $20. In our most recent update, we're actually more pushing for people to do probably $24.99 to $60. So we're even, we've tweaked some things like that based on what we've seen, but it's all set up. And the nice thing is, the reason that we did is, like I said, I knew we couldn't dedicate the time that was needed to this to grow it to its true potential. We reshot all the videos where it still has all the same content, if not all the upgraded content, because we definitely added, I think, 20 more videos onto our previous one, as well as just reshooting videos that were maybe a little out of date. But we took ourselves out of it, instead of saying our names into it, so that the new, buyer can come in pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Okay, so why are you selling the business now?
We just couldn't dedicate the time that it needed. And you can see from our sales, because we have our sales all the way from 2015, you can see how 2016, there is a drop into 2017, 100% because of the lack of attention that we've given it. I mean, as of right now, all that we do is we have our big email list. We do use that for a lookalike audience on Facebook. We run ads for 3 days before our webinar. However many people show up for our webinar, we do our sales pitch. It's usually about an hour to 90 minutes. I'd say it's closer to an hour 15 or so or less. And it's just our webinar that we've run every single month for the last year. We do the exact same offer. Anyone who shows up, that's who we close for the month. And that's it. We run a couple retargeting ads, 2 or 3 days after our webinar, but that's really all we do, because that's all the time we have. Unfortunately, we're not putting out the daily content that it needs and whatnot to truly grow and get like a real big presence in the market.
How many hours would you say that all takes?
I mean, maybe an hour a week, because realistically, like I said, we maybe spend an hour setting up the ads the week of. Our webinars about an hour and a half, and then we set up the retargeting ads. Our email marketing has already been set up, so it's the same kind of blast that we send to everyone. To the new people who subscribe, obviously we're not hitting our old list with the exact same one. So maybe 3 to 4 hours worth of work. That's including the webinar, shooting the webinar, everything, getting the replay out. The week of, the rest of the time, we haven't dedicated any. So the other 3 weeks of the month, we don't do anything to it, which again is why it's probably better off in someone else's hands.
Do you feel like the learning curve for a new owner taking over this and having to become the webinar guy, the teacher, and be able to answer questions, do you feel like the learning curve is high or low for this?
I'd say relatively low. I mean, I don't want to say it's incredibly easy or anything like that. We do have replays from all of our webinars. So that would be provided inside the sale, where we can actually show some of our webinars so that the person can use the exact same basic script that we're doing it as and whatnot. The webinar only covers 3 main bullet points. They're very basic and simple bullet points. So it's not like it's the advanced course or anything like that. It's relatively basic information, but it's information that a lot of people don't realize when they're trying to grab all the free information from YouTube, on Amazon FBA and stuff like that. So it's something to kind of help direct and steer people to show that you know enough what you're talking about, but it's not so advanced that it's going to be very difficult to learn for someone who knows nothing about Amazon FBA.
So let's talk about the email marketing as well as the social media marketing that you're currently doing for the business. I guess marketing in general.
Sure.
So what all are you currently doing? I know you mentioned emails, but How often are you sending emails? How long are the emails? What are you doing on social media? Can we talk about the marketing?
Sure. So again, we're doing next to nothing. We do have a list of 17,000 emails, which obviously we built up, I'd say majority in 2016 when we were actually, pushing the webinars and stuff a bit harder. Right now, we'll send out an email blast to our list maybe 3 times before the webinar and once after the webinar. Nothing much. So for the actual email marketing of the list we have itself, we don't do much with that one, to be honest. Again, we usually use that email marketing more for the emails that we have more for the lookalike audience that we create on Facebook to try to get some new people to the webinar. That's in general what we use it to. With that lookalike audience, we just do basic Facebook ads. Usually we do a video ad, to be honest. Those have done a lot better for us than just a basic picture ad of me, say, hey, join our webinar. Doing a short 30-second to 60-second video has always been a lot more effective for us in terms of our cost per click on top of the Facebook ads of what we're getting for people to actually click through to our site, sign up their emails, and to actually register for the webinar. We do use GoToWebinar. People can use whatever they want. And I guess the one thing I do want to say that I think is, this probably is going to be touched on later, but we actually shoot our webinars live. Majority of people in our space actually just do recorded webinars. So the moment people sign up their email for the webinar, they say, hey, you can come to this live webinar on Thursday at this time, or we actually have a showing in 15 minutes. So you want to just take a look at that. And that's what majority of people do. We, again, because we just simply don't have the time, we didn't even set that up. We didn't even do anything like that. We just do that one live webinar once a month, and it's purely from the Facebook ads, from the lookalike audience. And however many people we get to sign up 3 days before, that's how many people show up.
Why do you feel that doing the webinars live rather than pre-recorded stuff is beneficial?
If you have that recorded webinar running every day, you may have a little bit lower conversion rates, but you may have more consistent sales throughout the month, right? Where with ours, our conversion rates are, pretty good on top of our webinars, especially when you do them live. And the nice thing that we like to do, at least we feel, is when we interact with the people asking questions, or as you see in some of our webinar replays, we ask people yes or no questions. They can reply with a 1 or a 2 in our chat box. So it kind of engages them. It makes them feel we'll call their name out. And because of that, shows that we're real people. We actually see that they're interacting with us right now, so we interact back with them. And in turn, the people that interact with us the most on top of those live webinars tend to purchase at the end. I'm not saying all the time, but in general, the ones who interacted with the most, and we kind of notice that and call out to them and kind of mention them and stuff like that. That is nice. One thing that I have seen that people have done recently that I think is a nice touch is some people do have the recorded webinar for the first hour of it, but at the end we do a live 30-minute Q&A at the end. You don't have to do that as a bonus. We just choose to. And so any live Q&A, they actually hop on the last 5 minutes before the recorded webinar, and then they take it over live from there. And so it kind of merges the best of both worlds, I guess, a little bit. But in general, we don't have anything against the recorded webinar. We just never set it up, to be honest.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And people, for sure, tend to gravitate towards things that they feel a part of and included in.
Yep.
Where do you see the big opportunities for growth for a new owner?
Just doing almost anything more than us would be a big step. But I do see a couple nice things. One, I think that with the lookalike audience, you could definitely push the Facebook ads a lot harder than we are. I definitely think that with the recorded webinars, you could get a lot more consistent sales throughout the month compared to us just doing a single webinar and only pushing it for 3 days beforehand and a couple of retargeting afterwards. The other big thing that I do see is that Amazon is very easy to work with, being from most countries. So not even from within the United States, from the UK, Australia, stuff like that. Amazon actually does pay out to members from, I think there's a list of 32 countries. We have it somewhere in the course. I can't remember the 32 countries off the top of my head, but they're basically, main countries, Canada, UK, Australia, stuff like that, where you can actually sell in the US and have your bank account be from one of these countries, let's say, Australia. And every 2 weeks when Amazon pays you out, Amazon will actually pay it directly into your local bank in your local currency, even if it's not US dollars. And so that's pretty nice because you can actually expand to a more global audience. And the nice thing as well is obviously Amazon's always expanding. So if they don't even want to sell in Amazon US, they could still do Amazon UK, Amazon Canada, Amazon Australia is just opening up, although I don't think they're taking actual FBA sellers for like the next 6 months or so, but they will be soon. Amazon Japan's open. So it's nice that even these other English speaking countries, you could tap into that market, because we do have a couple Canadians and UK and Australian people sign in to our webinars, but it's definitely not as much as possible because we're mainly targeting US. So I think it's more by chance that we're getting these other people to kind of sign in compared to like actually targeting out there. I think that would be something huge for growth. The other thing that I would say, and that I've seen, Anton had great success with on top of his other business, is that, doing, YouTube videos and getting traffic that way on top of YouTube, where you're buying very cheap views and whatnot, and then retargeting them back to your website. So at least you kind of have them in your, pixeled and whatnot, so you can follow them around a little bit. Seeing something like that on top of this, I think it's very easy, even once a week, to shoot a video about something that's new with Amazon. And it helps that Amazon does have a newsletter that they basically send out weekly in your seller account, where you could basically take a look at some of the changes they made and just do a video on that. So you don't even have to come up with the content yourself. And getting people to drive traffic to that, pixel them, retarget them. Like I said, I think you could see some great growth from that as well. I think there's a lot of things that could be done that we just simply aren't doing.
You mentioned targeting countries outside of the US because Amazon is expanding the, countries that you can receive payouts in, even if you're selling in the US. Is the content going to be the same, or would a new owner have to adapt and come up with new content to fit the other countries?
Nope. So the BSRs, everything like that are exactly the same. So that is the nice thing about Amazon. So for example, like we want anything under, 3,000 BSR. The lower the bestsellers rank, the better. So BSR of 1,000 in Amazon US versus a BSR of 1,000 in Amazon UK. The amount of sales, if you get to that ranking in the US, may be, 100 units a day for a certain category. In the UK, that same 1,000 BSR ranking may be 50 units a day. So the BSRs themselves vary in terms of the amount of sales that each one is worth, Amazon US versus Amazon UK. But the BSRs that we aim for are still going to be fine. I don't think anyone's going to complain about 50 sales a day versus 100 sales a day, when majority of people are just looking for something like an extra 50 to $100. Even an extra $50 a day to majority of people who join our course, they're super stoked with that. And then when they make more than that, they're usually in disbelief. And that usually only takes 5 sales or so a day with the kind of margins that we look for and stuff like that. So the BSRs or reviews or anything like that, none of that is going to change from what we teach in the course. The numbers may be a little different in actual sales, but the BSRs still hold true.
Do you feel like there are any big risks associated with this business that a potential buyer should be aware of?
I don't think so. Again, I'm not really sure because, again, we've dedicated so little time to it after like this past year, and it's still been successful. Maybe I take it for granted, the business a little bit. I guess I would say that, the biggest thing, as long as you can hold a decent webinar and you have, decent, I guess, the Facebook skills, I guess, in targeting those ads, which we can basically give the lookalike audience to you. So it would almost be, done for you with a lookalike audience. I would find it hard to, I guess, make this unprofitable is the way I would say it. Yeah.
Would you commit to a non-compete?
Sure. No problem.
How much support are you willing to offer a buyer during the transition period?
I think, emails, every day for or multiple times a day, I guess it doesn't matter, for a 30-day window, I think is pretty fair. We have no problem jumping on, maybe 2 to 4 Skype calls, one Skype call a week for, 30 minutes to an hour. If there was anything like kind of pressing or just emails didn't quite, fix it, more than happy to jump on a call and try to help out that way. But I think those two things are pretty reasonable. Anything within reason, I think we're willing to help with.
The best case scenario is that someone comes along and offers a 100% cash offer of what you're looking for the business. But if that didn't happen, are you open to other types of deals, like for instance, an earnout?
With it being listed, under $100,000, I think myself and my partners would probably prefer just a cash offer. If it's a very small earnout, something 10,000 or less, maybe. But I would say we would definitely be leaning more towards just a one-time purchase.
So you're open to hearing the offer, open to negotiations, but you're probably going to have to tend to a full offer.
Yeah, most likely, yes.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So, Michael, thank you for the time. And I have one final question for you. But before we get to that, I want to go ahead and run through that quick summary of the business again.
Sure.
The business was built in July of 2015, has a monthly revenue of $5,123, expenses of $1,578, and a net profit of $3,545, which is generated on a 12-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the domain, site content and files, course materials, Facebook page, Facebook group, and an email list with about 17,000 subscribers. Michael, what is your best 30-second pitch on why someone should purchase this business?
So I guess I would say that I think e-commerce is, 100% where the sales are just exploding on e-commerce. And I think Amazon in particular has such a huge grasp of the e-commerce market. And, just seeing how many retail stores, even monster ones, like I know Sears just shut down 100 stores or something. Macy's just shut down another 7 stores, even one in San Francisco. Just seeing that how many more people are shifting from actual physical retail to e-commerce, and how much of that is of the e-commerce world is dominated by Amazon. I think the growth potential is truly off the charts for the next 10 to 20 years. And being able to offer a course in that with other people making the same realization, one that has, over 100 videos worth of content, rave reviews from not only just our members, but from other, big companies like Jungle Scout and stuff like that. I definitely think that this is something that is going to bode well for the future for any future owner who is willing to put the work in it and dedicate more time than we have to it. I think they'd really be grabbing something great.
And with the comment there at the end of putting the time in, I just want to stress again that you're putting in, as you say, virtually no time. You're doing the webinar, the planning of the webinar, and that's it. So
basically,
if someone were to come in with the time to be able to put more time into other areas and growing this business, which already has a strong foundation with little time in from the owners, could grow to even new heights.
Without a doubt.
Michael, thank you so much for taking the time with me today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. And if you want more information, the link will be below the video that will take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing site and want more information, become a depositor today. When you make the deposit, one of our business advisors will be in contact with you, and you will be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.